What is up, YouTube? My name is Andrew. This is my first YouTube video, and what better way to kick off my first YouTube video than to give the 2026 end of 2026 UFC Championship predictions. 2025 is vastly coming to an end. I don't even know if that's right. Fastly, speedily coming to an end. And we're going to be blessed with another year of UFC over on Paramount instead of pay-per-view. It's kind of crazy to see the pay-per-view era end. But we have a new year, and that means new champions. Possibly. These are fighters that I think will be champion by the end of 2026. Starting off at flyweight, I got Joshua Van. Now, hear me out. Before y'all hate and comment or whatever, the fight with Joshua Van and Pantoja was very anticlimactic. But what happened to Pantoja is a very possible career-ending injury. I'm not saying career-ending like he's going to go on a big losing streak. I'm saying career-ending as in he loses that dominance. He loses the kind of dominance he had against Moreno or Asakura. Just that, domination kind of factor that he had over the division for so long. He loses his threat on the feet. Maybe his punches aren't as hard or fast. Maybe his submissions aren't as tight because of the injury. Whether or not it needs surgery, that plays a big part on if he's able to get back in there. And also, this also depends on how quick he gets back in there. Maybe he sits out all of 2026, and Joshua Van racks up a couple title defenses against Manel Cap or Tatsuro Taira. I don't know. I think Joshua Van has the chance and the star power and the plot armor to sit as champion for the rest of the year. Moving up, bantamweight. Merab Dvalishvili. I love Merab. Merab has a lot to learn, though. I think he's going to be out for a little bit because of the damage he took against Petr Yan. So that gives Petr Yan the time to fight maybe an Umar or a rematch with O'Malley or even a Yadong if Yadong beats O'Malley. And I see maybe Petr Yan has one defense, maybe two, and then Merab comes back. But Merab seriously needs to work on his durability to the body. He seriously needs to work on his well-roundedness. He's shown improvement in almost every single title fight he's had. He almost TKO'd Sandhagen in the second or third round. He submitted O'Malley in the rematch. He's becoming more versatile. But Yan is just already more versatile. You can't go versatility for versatility with a guy who basically is the definition of versatility. And once Yan found that body and the weakness to the body, he exploited it. And Merab was prone to it. Merab also could not take Yan down. So Merab has a lot of development to do himself to come back and beat Yan. And if there's anyone that can do it, it's Merab. Merab is a little older, but we've seen countless times, especially in featherweight, bantamweight, and flyweight, these three divisions, Unks come back and they beat the guys who beat them, or they beat up-and-coming contenders, or just anything. Yan even did it. And Yan is younger than Merab, but he's an Unk. He's been around forever. Or it feels like that, at least. And he came back and got his title, or got his belt back. But I think Merab is going to, that hunger for him is going to burn even brighter. He's going to be even more hungry for that belt. I mean, without the belt, Merab loses the girls. He loses the internet popularity. His fan base goes back to being niche. He's not as popular anymore without the belt, which makes him lose money and sponsorships and brand deals. And he's a company man. He wants to make the company happy, and what better way to do that than being a defending champion who has popularity? So he needs that belt back to be what he was. Without it, I think he just kind of becomes another champion. So I do think he has that fire in him to kind of develop and become bantamweight champion once again. Now at featherweight. Hear me out on this. Diego Lopez. I wasn't big on Diego Lopez in the first Volkanovski fight. But he's grown on me. Diego Lopez has really grown on me. Especially when he fought Gene Silva. That's his name. When he fought Silva. I think Diego Lopez, I don't think he beats Volkanovski in the rematch. I still think the rematch is a stupid idea and a stupid thing that's happening. But it's happening, and there's no fighting it. I think Lopez fights and wins the featherweight belt when it's vacated. I think Volkanovski, retires maybe in the summer, maybe in the fall of 2026, and Diego fights a Yair, a Mavzar, or an Aljo, or a Lerone for a vacant belt, because the UFC loves pushing for Mexican champs or Mexican representative champs, because Diego Lopez is Brazilian, but he represents Mexico, and the UFC has always wanted a Mexican champion. That's why they've given Moreno so many title shots. That's why they've given Yair so much love. It's because they represent Mexico, and they want a Mexican fan base, and they want a Mexican market. So I think Diego Lopez is going to be champion by the end of 2026 when Volk retires. I think Volk's going to retire on top. Lightweight. Ilia Tapturo. Ba 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 ba! Ba 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 ba! Ilia Tapturo. I think Ilia comes back, after all whatever's going on with him right now and Georgina. When all that's said and done, I think he comes back summertime, probably around the summertime, maybe in the fall, and he fights either Paddy Pimblett or Arman Tsarukyan. I love Justin Gaethje, and I want him to beat Paddy Pimblett. He's one of my favorite fighters. But Paddy's too young and too versatile for Justin. And we see time and time again, Justin just doesn't have the good enough defense when it comes to versatile fighters. And then we're going to get Paddy versus Arman after all that's said and done. And the winner of that is going to fight Ilia. And I think Ilia wins. I'm a big Ilia meat rider. Obviously, I'll glaze my glorious king till the end of the earth. I love Ilia Topuria. Unless it is found out that he is beating his wife. If that is true and there's evidence for it and he gets guilty of it, I'll never glaze him again. I don't mess with that. Welterweight. Islam. There are challenges at welterweight for Islam. Ian Gary is calling out Islam because Bilal couldn't take him down. Bilal trains with Islam. And now Ian Gary is trying to test Islam to see, can you take me down? I think Islam would beat Ian Gary. There's Michael Morales. I think he beats Morales. We didn't really get to see Morales' takedown defense because Brady didn't wrestle with him. There's Usman. They're trying to push for Usman to get the title shot. That would be, obviously Usman would be good in the takedown defense. That would be a scrap. But Islam fights once a year. He fought twice in 2025, but there was no need for 2 fights. You could have had 3. He fought in January on a day's notice against Moicano, took 0 damage, and sat out for the rest of the year to get a boring decision win over JDM. When he could have fought Ilia or Gaethje or Pimblett or Arman Tsarukyan, they could have rebooked it for summertime. But no, he sat on his ass all year. He doesn't fight actively. Next year, he's going to have 1 title defense, maybe 2. And I think he ends the year as champion. That's the truth. Next, middleweight. Khamzat Chimaev. There's no one for Khamzat to fight. Sean Strickland is fighting Hernandez. There's no shot in hell that they give him a title shot. He's 0-3 right now. Dricus du Plessis, I don't think they give him an instant rematch. RDR is on a downward spiral. Khamzat's already beaten Whitaker. So there's really nobody for him to fight. So I don't see him fighting until the later half of the year when there is a contender. Sorry about that. Holy crap. But yeah, I don't see him fighting until there really is a contender for him to fight. And even then, I think he's too dominant in the grappling. Say what you want, he's boring. He is the most dominant wrestler that the UFC's ever seen. He's more dominant than Islam. He's more dominant than Habib. Hamzat is like a middleweight Merab when it comes to the pressure, and maybe not the cardio, but definitely the pressure he puts. Light heavyweight. I have two names right here, and it's Yuri Prochazka and Carlos Ulberg. The reasoning behind this: people have been saying Alex Pereira is going to leave the light heavyweight division for almost 2 years now to either retire or move up to heavyweight. And Alex Pereira has been talking about moving up to heavyweight more than he has been recently. So if he doesn't fight again at light heavyweight, he's definitely going to vacate and go to heavyweight. And then we'll see a matchup between something. But I don't think there's anyone at light heavyweight that beats Yuri. I mean, he's already beaten Roundtree, Hill, Jan, Reyes. The only person he's lost to is Pereira, and the only person he hasn't fought is Ulberg and Magomed. And I think he beats Magomed on Kalaev. Ulberg went to a boring decision against Jan Blachowicz, and just KO'd Dominic Reyes. So he's at the top of the division. Whether they give him another contender fight against Magomed, Yuri, Roundtree, or Hill, I think he gets a title shot next. I don't want to see Pereira Yuri 3. If we get a Pereira fight at light heavyweight, I would love to see Pereira versus Ulberg. That's a fresh matchup because Pereira has had 2 rematches at light heavyweight, and one's against Yuri and one's against Magomed. He's only had 3 fresh matchups at light heavyweight, being Jan, Hill, and Roundtree. So Ulberg would be another great name for a fresh matchup. Especially because Ulberg is young and up and coming. Young-ish. He's in his 30s, I think. And Yuri's been around forever. Yuri is the more profitable champion out of him and Ulberg. But Ulberg has more potential because he's fresher in the UFC, whereas Yuri's been around for a minute. But I could see either one of these guys being champion by the end of 2026. Heavyweight, Tom Aspinall. Say what you want, make the jokes you want. Tom One-Eyed Willie Aspinall, Tom Michael Bisping Aspinall. I think Tom Aspinall comes back summertime, fall time. And I think he obviously rematches Cyril Gane. And I think he beats Cyril Gane. We got Bully Aspinall coming out. And seeing what's going on, really hurts because I've been a Tom Aspinall fan for a minute. Like, since he kind of started coming up before his knee injury, I was kind of paying attention to him because he was fast, agile, very dominant and pressure forward. And then he, blew out his knee against Curtis Blades, was out for a while, came back, got the interim belt, sat out because Jones is kind of doing what Jones does, doing his own little thing. And then he finally gets to fight again after so long of sitting out. And now he has to go under another eye surgery, or another surgery for his eyes. And it just sucks to see that he has to sit out even more because he sat out, fought, sat out, now he's fighting. And it just sucks to see. I think he's wasting his prime, or not wasting his prime. I think his prime is being wasted. And I totally understand if there is a lot of, just not a lot of pleasant thoughts with him in the UFC at the moment. I feel bad for Tom, and I feel bad for what's going on with Tom. But I do think he fights maybe once next year when he finally becomes cleared to return, and I think he beats Cyril Gane, making Cyril Gane what? 0-3 in title shots. But yeah, this is my end of 2026 UFC Championship prediction. Definitely comment what y'all think. Give me feedback on maybe who you think will be champion. Leave a like and definitely subscribe. This is my first UFC video. I will definitely be making more. I post content on TikTok, so if you want to go over there, it's the same username as my YouTube channel, Andy_MMA, where I post predictions, reviews, all that. and I hope to post more of that kind of stuff on YouTube. So definitely tap in. Yeah. Hope you all enjoyed. Goodbye.